morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Akshit Suthar, and I am a PhD student at Clemson University's James C. Kennedy Waterfowl and Wetland Conservation Center. Today,
I'm like a bunch of these old fellows, half-hearted here. Y'all try to get the microphone close.
this is work, right?
Okay, there's a volume control on here too. Can you just
Yeah.
one second? Try now.
Hello, is it good?
Is that better? Okay.
So today, I will be talking about my graduate research project focused on waterfowl habitat and antebellum rice field in coastal South Carolina, historical significance and modern management strategies. So the coastal South Carolina is a critical wintering ground for waterfowl in Atlantic flyway. Approximately 30% of all dabbling ducks, including species like green-winged teal, northern shoveler, mallards, American vision, and northern pintail, winter in this region. This highlights the importance of that landscape for the migratory species. The Nick Masto, the former master student at Kennedy Center, conducted aeroplanes aerial survey during the fall-winter season from 2016 to 2019 to monitor waterfowl population in coastal South Carolina. The density maps created from this survey illustrate the distribution of dabbling and diving ducks in this region. By overlapping antebellum rice field layers on these density maps, we can see that highlight density area often overlap with the rice field impoundments. It is highlighted that these rice field impoundments are crucial habitat for dabbling and diving ducks in coastal region. So the importance of the rice field, there is a historical significance. The rice cultivation in coastal South Carolina began in 1670s, driven by the labor of enslaved person. Extensive dike and canal system were constructed by the hands to create tidal impoundments, which transformed these tidal swamps and hardwood bottomland forest into highly managed farming system. This practice ended with the US Civil War and just left behind legacy of the land use. Approximately 95,000 hectares of antebellum rice fields are mapped and categorized in tidal broken, tidal functional, and inland. The coastal tides influence the tidal functional and tidal broken rice field. Tidal functional features the intact dike and trunks. In contrast, the tidal broken rice field have breached dikes, making them unable to control water level and movement, causing them to resemble natural tidal marshes. Inland fields are far from the coastal to be affected by the tidal influence. The tidal functional rice fields are primarily managed for wintering waterfowl. Rare and endangered species like the russet spoonbill, American white pelican, and woodstock also use this impoundment as a wintering ground. Traditional wooden trunk in these impoundments are create optical condition for various waterfowl species. The controlled hydrological regime promote the growth of aquatic vegetation and invertebrates, providing essential food resources for waterfowl. The variation in water depth throughout the year create diverse microhabitat to meet the specific needs of the waterfowl during breeding, migration, and wintering periods. So the conservation challenges with this landscape, the sea level rise and climate change pose significant threat to this habitat. Increased tidal aptitudes and more frequent tropical storms lead to the degradation and loss of the rice field infrastructure. So on your left side, you can see the cross section of the rice field impoundments and the sea level rise from rice culture begin in the 17th and current situation. There is an ongoing debate about the impact of impoundments on wetlands and waterfowl habitat. Some argue that managed impoundments are more beneficial, while another believe that tidal wetlands would sufficient if impoundments didn't exist. This highlights the complexity of conservation planning. Antebellum rice field in United States illustrate the complexity of the conservation planning. Many questions are waiting to be answered, such as whether they should be conserved for their current ecological values and the antebellum cultural meaning, or they restored to be pre-agriculture forested wetland stage, or managed as in the context of wetlands and waterfowl. The recent research underscored the high value of antebellum rice field impoundments for waterfowl. These red boxes in the graph show the dabblers and divers occurrence is high in the antebellum rice field in comparison of other land use categories in the coastal South Carolina. However, accurate quantification of waterfowl utilize these impoundments along with understanding the biological, hydrological, and environmental factors driving high abundance is essential for effective conservation, management, and restoration of this habitat. Our research aimed to estimate waterfowl abundance by species and guild with this rice field using drone-based aerial strip projects. We also investigate the relationship between waterfowl and impoundment characteristics such as average water depth, vegetation types, and the percentage of emergent and submerged vegetation, and also the open water to understand habitat preference. Additionally, we evaluate the efficacy of the drones for the future waterfowl research in the antebellum rice field and coastal South Carolina. The current methodologies are the first is the ground survey, and the traditional ground-based survey often comes and suffer with the visibility bias. The bias occurs when observer can't see the direct certain species due to the landscape physical barriers or dense vegetation. This can lead to the underestimation of the waterfowl population, and this survey is labor intensive and time consuming. The second traditional methodology we are using is usually the people using the aerial strip projects or aerial survey with the aeroplane, but the traditional aeroplane survey also come with their own sets of challenges. This survey required person to be on board, which can pose risk to the safety. Avian accidents are the most common cause of work-related death for the wildlife biologists in the United States. The traditional aerial plane survey are expensive to conduct. They involve the cost of aircraft, fuel, skilled pilot, and another limitation is that observation made from the planes are real-time and non-reviewable. This means that it is something important is missed. This is no way to go back and review the data. These limitations can lead to the data gaps and inaccuracies. So what are the current other options? So the alternative option is the drone-based survey. The drone-based aerial survey significantly enhance the safety. Drone are a more cost-effective alternative. They require less financial investment in comparison to the traditional plane survey. The research found drone are less disruptive to waterfowl. And most of the importantly, drone-based aerial survey often provide better estimation of waterfowl population. The ability to fly at lower altitude and take high resolution imagery and capture data in real time, and you can always review that data later. It enhances the accuracy of the drone-based survey. So we are using the DJI Mavic 3T Enterprise drone with the 48 megapixel RGB camera, and also it has a 52x zoom and thermal camera. The drone has battery time is approximately 45 minutes. So in the right side of you can see the one image with the RGB and one is a thermal, and this is the American Avocet group. So this is how it's look like when we click the image at the 20-meter altitude. In February and December 2023, we conducted survey at Tom Yaki Wildlife Center, Georgetown, South Carolina, using the both drone and ground survey to compare these two methodologies. Our drone survey utilized drone deploy to automatic flight plan, and imagery was collected at 30 meters above ground level with 65% front and side overlap to create orthomosaic. We use drone deploy and ArcGIS to manually count the waterfowl. And the ground-based survey, it was conducted by Tom Yaki wildlife biologist and following the monthly water bird count protocol and using binocular, spotting scope, GPS, and dataset. So the result, our result shows that the total average waterfowl counts obtained from drone survey were significantly higher, with the average 2,202 birds counted. And this is almost 347% higher compared to the average ground survey, 492 species. Also, the drone survey were able to identify average 12 species, which is 8.7% higher than the 11 species identified throughout the ground survey. And this graph comparison is compares the average species-wise waterfowl mean count by two different methodologies, which is demonstrate the effectiveness of drone for accurately identifying and quantifying water birds numbers compared to ground survey, especially in the area with the large bird population and the large landscape where you can easily face the accessibility and accessibility issues and visibility bias. Also, we created high definition orthomosaic, stitching all those images, and these images of the impoundment we use with the ArcGIS to design the deep machine learning model for habitat classification. The model workflow is prepare the data first, train the model by assigning the pixel-based value and annotate the images, and finally use the model to analyze. And we categorize emergent and submerged vegetation, open water, and dikes for further analysis of waterfowl habitat relation. So this is all three images are from the Tom Yaki Wildlife Center. The first is a blackout impoundment, the second is the panfall impoundment, and the last one is the broken rice field. And this is how we use the GIS model to analyze the habitat. And we use the majority of the four categories: open water, percentage of emergent vegetation, percentage of submerged vegetation, and the dikes. And this is, you can see the analysis, how it's look like. And based on the individual waterfowl geographical locations, we use the kernel density estimation to understand habitat selection within impoundments. And this image shows the density distribution in blackout impoundment at Tomiyaki Wildlife Center. Similarly, this is the image shows the density distribution in panfold impoundment. So the panfold and the blackout, the both are managed impoundment, and the last one is the tidal broken impoundment. And you can see there is a no emergent vegetation, the yellow color in the the tidal broken impoundment, and there is very less open water and dense emergent vegetation. We conducted the Prasan regression model to analyze the determine the impact of impoundment's characteristic on waterfowl abundance. This graph shows the impact of impoundment characteristics like percentage of submerged vegetation, emergent vegetation, and open water, water level in centimeter, and impoundment size in hectare on the selected species abundance. So the x-axis, we selected total 5 major species. What we found is a northern pintail, northern shoveler, gadwal, American coot. So this is the 5 species majority we found that we selected for the Prasan model to see the impact of emergent submerged vegetation and percentage of open water. So the x-axis is a confidence value for the Prasan regression model, and the y-axis is the impoundment characteristic. And we found that the percentage of submerged vegetation has a strong positive impact on waterfowl abundance across all species. The percentage of open water has a positive impact with varying significance. Average water level in the centimeter has the positive impact with varying significance, and percentage of emergent vegetation very small or non-significant impact. And the impoundment size in hectare has a less clear impact with some species showing negative or no significant effect. So this is very limited data set. We just analyze the 2 impoundments. That's why they might be, if we analyze the huge data set, then might be that there is a different impact by the different characteristics. And so we are also integrating the thermal camera with the RGB images to improve the detection probability of the species. So this is the comparison of the demonstrate the added benefit of the thermal camera with the RGB images. So here, kind of like, if you can see anything here in this image. So this is the 25-meter above ground level image. And if you see any species, anything here, are you able to see anything? No. And let's look a little more closer. Now you can see something, right? So this is zoom camera, but we actually have these images. So it's really difficult sometimes if the species is camouflage or species is hidden somewhere under the dense vegetation. So that's why we use the thermal camera as well, and we collect the thermal images. And now you can see exactly there is a two words there. And if you compare exactly this image, you cannot see, like if you just keep that image, there is no birds. So this is how we are improving the detection probability using the thermal camera and integrating with the RGB images. Okay, and here are some videos from the field work. This is showing the inland rice field with a tall and dense tree habitat for the wood ducks, and the thermal camera helped to reduce the drone survey aerial color imaging by the bias to improve the detection probability. And here you can see in that video, there is in the thermal, you can see some species, some birds are moving. Let me play it. You can see that some birds are moving, and we also at the same time we are collecting the RGB images, and you can identify the species in the same way. And here are some one more video of the green wing teal and blue wing teal foraging and distribution and without disturbing by the drone. And this is almost 15 meter, pretty close. And you can see the no effect of the drone on the species. So the survey done so far, I've just finished my first field season, and thanks to all of you for supporting and allowing me to access your properties and allowing me to survey and fly drone on your property. So far I have complete total 36 impoundments, and this is the total categories. Like I categorize all the rice field in the five major river basin, and then inland, tidal broken and tidal functional. And I also subcategorize as a private property and the public property. So all the private properties owned by the managers and waterfowl hunting clubs and all, and the other properties, public property is owned by managed by the DNR state agency. So this is how we categorize and how many impoundments we survey so far. And this is my next planning for the next season. And since most of us are associated with the wetlands, waterfowl management, and the rice field impoundments, and also with the plantations, we seek your support in connecting with the landowners in the major three river basin, particularly Savannah and Selkahatchee and Edisto. This is the three river basin. I need your support if you are able to help me to connect with any landowners that I'm planning to survey for the next season. That would be greatly appreciated. So I will be here for entire day, and you can help me to share your phone number details and help me to connect with the landowner. I am going to start my next season survey by November. And I would like to thanks to all donors, supporters, and collaborators who made this research possible. And thank you for your attention. And I'm happy to take any questions if you have.
What's the cost of one of your drone units? Just that one unit that you principally use?
Yeah, so the drone.
Including the camera that's associated with it.
That's good. Yeah. So the drone comes with the thermal camera and RGB camera. It's entire unit, and entire cost unit cost around $8,000 to $9,000. But we got some extra batteries and all, generators and everything. Entire field setups. If you just want to buy just drone and two batteries, then it's gonna cost around $6,000.
I asked that question in the context of someone who did a lot of flying for a long period of time. Billy, you can correct me on this, but I believe the Fish and Wildlife Service was charging us somewhere in the range of $40,000 to $49,000 per year. So, it seems like I remember $3,500 an hour. So
Yeah. It's very expensive. Yeah. When I was in the Texas last year, and I was meeting some people, and I asked, like, how much you charge for the, surveying some property, and they say, if we have good connection with those people, usually we charge $600 per hour for the survey in the Texas.
This technology is very efficient.
Yeah, that's true.
And in your surveys, I think you said you were at altitude 75 meters ATL. Is that correct? That's the average altitude.
So I'm using the 20 meter. That's the average altitude for the waterfowl survey.
And even on sunny days, there was no reaction of birds. You know,
So it's depend on how you are flying and how you allowing the species to get habituated with your drone. So initially, when I see some birds in some corner of the wetlands, I directly do not fly or approach to the birds like very fast. I usually try to go with the 5 miles per hour speed and just fly at the same altitude. When I launch the drone, I just fly at the same altitude for almost 5 minutes, allow birds to get habituated. And if you approach the birds directly, they're gonna get scared, like they do not have time to understand what's going on.
or maybe the thing was eagle coming
Sorry?
Couple of questions, just want some clarification myself. You mentioned 95,000, and what was it? What do you was that acres or
Hectares.
hectares? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And obviously that would include both titled, functional and non-functional, as well as non-titled,
Yes, sir.
functional and non-functional. So it would be all undeveloped rice plantation lands, both currently functional and non-functional, both in the title zone and the non-title. Well, is that correct?
Yeah, is that correct? So we use the data from Hanks et al. And Dr. Travis Folk and Hanks et al. Did the LiDAR survey, and they categorized the all rice field, and we are using this Hanks et al. 2021 data set as a baseline as a rice field impoundments. And we got the maps and all the layers from Hanks et al. Publication.
That's roughly 200,000.
Yeah, it's a roughly 200,000 acre. Yeah.
So that, obviously,
Yeah, and this is the map. This is the map. All we got the rice field. So if you see, the green one is a managed rice field. The blue one is a broken rice field, and the orange is a inland rice field. So inland, they were not able to categorize managed or unmanaged because of the pixel size and the LiDAR technology. They were not able to use at that extent. So, but yeah.
there's another factor in this is that some of, obviously, a fairly significant amount of the overall acreage or hectares in the title zone were never, that are functional now, were never rice fields. And that's, I think, an important point of confusion.
Yeah. So
They were diet advantage after, specifically after commercial rice production ceased.
yeah.
That is a question. And then another question on the future management of these sites, restoration versus active management. Has anyone looked at the feasibility of that? I mean, in terms of restoration, and if we, at least in the title zone, I think it's not a question because of ecological and physical factors that have changed over time. Restoration. That's an observation.
And so later in the program, Toby will be presenting on a decision support tool where we're hoping to be able to identify characteristics of commons that make sense to restore versus those that do not.
Yeah, so we are using all this data. We are using all this data, the waterfowl data, other wildlife data, and all the past published data to make some decision support tools. And that's the two we're gonna work on that project. Yeah.
When we mapped this, so I helped Richard and them move into all these fields. We took data on fields that we knew were diked after. Normally they were diked in the 1930s. A clear example of this is on the Cumberland River with Cheehaw Company Plantation. That was never a rice field. It was,
Sure.
you know, it's 900-acre impoundment that they diked off for best cattle pasture, really. But ultimately, it didn't matter because we were just trying to.
I just think factually.
Right,
What you say, rice fields, I mean, that's a great example.
That's right.
Yeah. And a great deal of Sandy coastal reserve was in the same category.
Yeah, it was a lot of that was diked off for waterfowl habitat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of it probably plays fifties.
That's right.
And whenever I go in the field and I always communicate with the managers, like this is the impoundments I'm planning to survey. Is that a historical rice field or it's just like an impoundment? And accordingly, even in the field, even I make the decision to survey the historical rice field. That's just making sure that. Yes.
Do you have a breakdown of species utilization? Like, say there's 250 species utilized in these impoundments. Do you have a breakdown anywhere of all of those species that you could portray, like my stance, to the public? And then on top of that, we might be able to compare and say 200 out of the 250 species are utilized in manageable impoundments, and only 50 of the 250 species are used in broken impoundments. Do you have anything like that?
I do not have right now because I just finished my, the first season before almost 1 month ago, and still I'm analyzing the data. And next year I will have one more season. And once I have, all the data set, then I will have overall picture. But yeah, this is that would be in our, the publication or in the presentation the next year. We will have that answer.
That'd be a big help.
Yeah.
A lot of those data already exist in previous studies.
Any question? Thank you. Thanks for your time.